So does Zelda's playable debut live up to the hype? This is going to be my review of The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom on the Nintendo Switch, my friends. Spoiler free at that. I am not going to go into spoilers, but I will go into some certain, things that maybe some people would consider mild spoilers, but most of it should be stuff that is basically in the trailers and stuff for the most part. So, well, obviously a little bit beyond that, I'm going to be showing off maybe the inventory and stuff like that, key items, stuff like that. So if you don't want to see any of the menu stuff or the map, then click off the video. Again, those are what I would consider maybe like mild spoilers. So anyways, not going to go into any story stuff though, so don't worry about that. Anyways, if you're still here, let's go ahead and jump straight into this. So I just finished beating The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and I had a lot of fun with it. It was very different. It switched up the formula, but it also took a lot of inspiration from other games, of course, as well. A lot of Breath of the Wild, a lot of Tears of the Kingdom in certain elements, and then a lot of A Link Between Worlds. I think if you were to kind of compare this game, I would say, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, it's kind of same game, same world anyways. And then mesh that with, A Link Between Worlds. It's kind of a hybrid between that. And then with the art style of Link's Awakening on the Nintendo Switch. So you kind of mix all those up and it's what you're going to pretty much get. Now, in terms of Breath of the Wild and stuff, we got a little bit of the open world, but I make it more kind of akin to A Link Between Worlds. It also feels like that world a little bit more, especially the outlay of the map. The outlay of the map looks a lot more like, A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds, just kind of the way it looks. But again, it's very, very, very different at the same time. Everything's kind of, everything's sort of switched up a little bit, but it gives you that general feel if you play those games and whatnot as well. So, just keep that in mind. The map is about, I don't know, I've heard people say it's 8 times bigger than Link's Awakening map. I don't know if that's an accurate estimate, but it's definitely, significantly bigger. I would say at least probably 4 times bigger, maybe 5 times bigger. It's definitely significantly bigger than the map of Link's Awakening. Like I said, probably closer to like A Link to the Past, A Link Between Worlds, maybe that ballpark, in my opinion, just kind of going off the top of my head and, what I can kind of recall and whatnot. The map is obviously split up into, the typical kind of locations. You got the Elden region, you got the Gerudo region, you got, of course, the Faron region, the, Zora, Hebra Mountain, Hyrule Castle, stuff like that. That's kind of the main way that the game is split up. And of course, you're playing as Zelda. You're going to be playing as Zelda in this game, and Zelda is completely playable for the first time ever, besides of course Hyrule Warriors and things like that. And it's unique, right? Because obviously you're going to have to use things called echoes, and echoes come in all shapes and sizes. Basically, there's a lot of things, items and things like that you can basically echo. There's of course enemies that you can echo and stuff as well to use to your advantage, and that's kind of your utility and whatnot, if you will. Now, the one thing I did find a little bit frustrating about the game is that when you're going through the echoes, for example, I mean, if you're trying to find a very specific one, you can end up scrolling forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever before you find one. Now, you can sort them between last used, most used, last learned, and cost, as well as type, if you want to kind of organize them a little bit better that way. But it is still kind of annoying to kind of go through them all in that way, because sometimes you're scrolling there for ages. There's 127 plus echoes in the game. There are also things such as accessories that you're going to find in the game that will do stuff like maybe increase your jump height a little bit, maybe a little bit of extra defense, things like that, and stuff like that. There's, instead of cooking like in Breath of the Wild, there's a whole new thing called smoothies. It's not called smoothies, you can make smoothies, I guess is what I should have said. And with these smoothies, you can get all kinds of different buffs. Now, I did find that like most of them are feel kind of useless for the most part, except the ones that give you extra defense, maybe the ones that refill your energy bar. So basically, the idea with the energy bar, and we've seen this already in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything, is you can kind of, for a duration, as long as the energy bar is kind of lasts, if you will, until it's depleted, you can basically take on like Link's form in a way. Again, we've seen that in the trailers. And so with that, you know, you can actually attack normally, but again, the energy bar has, you know, a little bit of a duration to it. You have to collect more energy that sometimes pops up from killing certain enemies, things like that. Anyways, too much to explain with that. Point is, there's smoothies that can replete your energy and your hearts as well. So those are probably like the best smoothies. There's a lot of smoothies to make, but again, most of them kind of felt useless for the most part. And then that also takes me to the inventory. The inventory, there's not a lot of items in this game, which, you know, I don't mind. You know, I don't mind that there's not a lot of items. But you can see there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6. There's like, what is that? 16 items total, and you can mix and match these items to make different smoothies. And that's pretty much all these specific items are pretty much, you know, good for, which again is fine. You know, we don't need necessarily a complicated system like in Breath of the Wild, but just, you know, letting you guys know that it is much more of a simplified format, and these are all pretty much just for making smoothies, just different combinations just for making smoothies, and then those smoothies will have different status effects and different things like that as well. So that's pretty much that. And again, there's many different things you could do, like, you know, little side quests you could do around the world that will give you some of these items, sometimes rupees. But it feels like the side quests were kind of pointless for the most part. You know, you weren't really getting any kind of, you know, gear that felt like it was really worth doing for the most part. I mean, like I said, you're just getting kind of a lot of these different ingredients or rupees, which you can just buy other things. You can buy ingredients, you can buy potions, you can buy certain kind of items that will, like I said, like those charms and whatnot, that will give you a little bit of a buff, if you will. Now the actual art style, like I said, I like it. It kind of has that sort of plasticky kind of look, like Link's Awakening remake on the Nintendo Switch. Beautiful visuals, very vibrant colors. The music is amazing as always. I mean, when is the music not good in a Zelda game? The music was just fantastic. The story was very interesting, you know, for the most part. I would say it was really solid. You know, obviously characters are always interesting in these worlds. It felt a little bit simpler than some games. Like, it's not, you know, don't expect like a Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom kind of story or world, or don't expect like a Twilight Princess or maybe even like a Majora's Mask. You know, I personally speaking, I think Majora's Mask is very interesting, and the side quests in Majora's Mask I think are more interesting to do. There is some interesting side quests in this world, I will say. You know, there's you know, helping people out with different kind of things that, you know, it's interesting to kind of discover what's kind of going on in the world, but it felt a little bit more bare. And then in terms of like the echoes and stuff, it did get a little bit tedious kind of doing that. You know, we're obviously not playing as Link. It's a very interesting you know, way to go about it, and I think it was a lot of fun, but at the same time, at some points, especially in some dungeons and stuff, the mechanics kind of felt like they were getting a little bit on the tedious side, and they didn't feel maybe as enjoyable as a standard kind of, you know, Legend of Zelda game. They weren't bad. I'm just saying that, you know, if that was one of my gripes, it would be that. You know, of course, we have a companion, as we've seen in the trailers, named Tri, and I'm not going to spoil too much about Tri, but a very interesting companion in the game and whatnot as well. So, like I said, really fun, you know, kind of story, big world to kind of explore, very fun characters, great music. Like I said, tedious a little bit for some of the mechanics and whatnot, but overall, I think it was just a really fantastic game. Like I said, maybe not up to par with your kind of, you know, standard, typical kind of Legend of Zelda game, but I would still say a must play. If you're especially a Legend of Zelda fan, you got to play this game. It's just really, really good. There's a lot more I probably could say. If there's anything you guys want to ask in the comments, be sure to do so, and I'll try my best to kind of answer you guys. But what would I rate this game? I thought about this for quite some time, and I'm kind of torn, but I think I will give this game an 8.5 out of 10. Okay, I know some people are kind of pushing 10, some people were kind of on the lower side towards 7 or 8. I think it's a really solid game. I don't think it's perfection. I don't think it's a 10 out of 10. I don't know. It could be closer to the 9, maybe, but I think 8.5 is kind of like a middle kind of fair, you know, fair sort of score. I think some people are going to feel like it's more like an 8, and some people are going to feel like it's more like a 9. So I'm going to go somewhere in the middle in an 8.5. Like I said, it's a must play. It's a lot of fun. If you're wondering how long it took me to beat, it took me about, I think, 18 to 20, well, probably like 18 or 19 hours to beat. If you're going straight story, it's probably going to take you 15 or 16 hours to beat. If you're doing some side quests, it'll probably be closer to like 18 hours, maybe 20 hours. And if you're doing 100% run, it'll probably be taking you close to like 22 to 25 hours give or take. So keep that in mind. That said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What would you rate The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom? Have you played it? Why or why not? Like I said, if you're a Nintendo fan, especially if you're a Legend of Zelda fan, it is a must play. It's a lot of fun, but there's a few gripes I had with it that could have made it even better. And like I said, as fun as it is, and as cool as it was to kind of, have a different angle and a different kind of take on the series and kind of shake things up a little bit, I do prefer my kind of more classic kind of style Legend of Zelda games. But like I said, they've really shaken things up with Breath of the Wild, with Tears of the Kingdom, and now with this game as well, and just with the formula and whatnot. And it was cool to try something new, but hopefully they keep kind of experimenting in the future. It's always nice to see them try to innovate and try to kind of try to break the sort of conventions while still keeping that base sort of idea that makes a Zelda game, if that makes sense. So those are my thoughts. Like I said, I really enjoyed the game quite a bit, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Till the next one, game on. I'll see you guys soon.